Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Penguin.
And I am Sean.
And welcome back to the Antarctic Cup, where we are going to be on Shakur's Plateau for the second match of this second game of this quarterfinals between InfinityTTF.
We are still looking at our webcams, Penguin.
No, I did switch it.
Oh, my bad.
Yep. Anyway, we will be seeing InfinityTTF as the Purple Terran spawning in the top right spawn location. And who's his opponent going to be, Sean?
Well, you got purple right here, and you got orange right here. And wait, did you introduce Protoss?
What?
Did you introduce our Protoss player?
No, I introduced InfinityTTF.
Alive. Well, then his opponent will be the infamous InfinityTTF, the orange Protoss in the top left corner. I'm sorry, my stream volume was still on, and so I was hearing two voices at the same time.
Well.
And good. Yeah, who is now chrono boosting out a probe because that is the standard thing to do. But wait a second, he didn't put the pylon down at his natural, which means I think he's going to be going for the same thing.
I do as well, but I have to wonder how effective is something. I mean, not just the fact that he's up against InfinityTTF, but how effective is a build like this in a best of 3? Because it relies a lot on the element of surprise. So as soon as you end up in that sort of situation where you're playing against somebody who knows what you're going to do, I mean, they know that build exists, so they'll be ready for that build, especially if InfinityTTF goes in and scouts and sees 3 gateways in the main.
At the same time, if you were to get cannon rushed by Huck, in game 2 you wouldn't think, okay, he's going to cannon rush me again. It's a similar idea where it's like the expectation that they won't do something because it's rather gimmicky, and that you caught onto it would cause you to think, okay, I'm not going to metagame, I'm not going to overcompensate, I'm just going to play my game, I'm going to keep scouting, and hopefully I'll see it. Since this, I would think that his chances of succeeding with this are probably the same now, simply because InfinityTTF is such a good player. He probably doesn't metagame, especially against players he doesn't know. So InfinityTTF's just going to stick to what he knows best, which is steamrolling everybody he plays. So.
That's very true. But I do think that, like, the point I was making, though, is that while he's not going to be preparing for that build in the sense that if anything else happens he'll lose, he will know that that's definitely a possibility. And while in the first game nobody's really going to think, oh, well, there's going to be a proxy robo and there's a gateway there. Now he does know that there's the chance for that, and he may just go around and scout around for it. Or
yeah, well, I think what happens when you play enough on the Korean ladder is that mentality just goes away. The idea that you have to see something in order to know that it might happen. So I feel like, especially as somebody who was born and raised on the Korean ladder, because Koreans have the weirdest strats, and so I honestly think that what you do in one game does not affect how your opponent's going to play in the other if your opponent is like InfinityTTF is, simply because he doesn't know.
Infinity's expanding!
We are seeing fast expands from both players, so actually this may have worked. Like the 4-gate robo may have worked because his opponent's fast expanding, but I guess TTF's just not going to take that chance.
No, TTF is going to be fast expanding. He is going to be grabbing that robo as well, but I'm really interested to see how he plays without the 4-gate robo, because that's all we've seen from him so far, and these are the only games I've ever seen TTF playing. So, yeah. I'm interested to see what his playstyle is in mid to late game if we get that far.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, I actually feel like TTF should have tried the same thing. Yeah, it's just like, since dealing with cheese is a part of being a Korean, or playing on Korean ladder, it's just sort of like, you know, InfinityTTF, you're still more likely to win by cheesing him than by playing him straight up. Simply because he's InfinityTTF, he's amazing.
That's true. That is very, very true. InfinityTTF is not Grandmaster. He is representing the Master League against a round of 8 GSL Code S player, so I think it's a little stacked in the favor of InfinityTTF. But
yeah,
both players are just going to be putting down their expansions right now. No name landing that orbital right there, and we are going to be seeing. No, that's an observer. Never mind. I thought I saw a picture of a warp prism, but he is going to be going with an observer. And so far everything's reasonably standard. Alive is going to be moving out with 7 Marines around the map, just going to be scouting around looking for any sort of proxy shenanigans or things like that.
Observer going to come in and scout a double tech lab, so he's going to expect some fairly heavy Marauder production, and he's got that. He's already got that Immortal almost done, so he's going to be in pretty decent shape to hold off any kind of Marine Marauder aggression. Except for this one.
Yeah. Well, he is going to be moving towards the natural with this primarily Marine force. He doesn't really have all that many troops, Infinity, at this point. Immortal is on the way, but he just doesn't have anything. He's going to be warping in a couple of sentries, which will be able to force field. I think they'll be able to cover the entire ramp. But he's going to
be out in time to kill the Marauder.
One Stalker is
going to get killed by all the Marines.
Well, he is going to be getting a couple of Marines down, so the Marine... Oh, there's more Marines going to be streaming in, though. There's not that many Marines going to be focusing down the Marauder. That is definitely the right move. One Marauder does go down. Another one has come in to reinforce, though. And he is only going to be able to warp in units 2 at a time with only 2 warp gates. And, gets the pylon, forcing the cancel on those Zealots. And that could well be game.
Yes, indeed it could. He's just falling apart here. He's done a lot of damage. He's managing to hold this attack pretty well, but at what cost?
Yeah, InfinityTTF has now GG'd, and well, I just want to take a look at a couple of things here. Worker supply. Alive never cut workers for that entire time, and was still able to push out with a reasonably awesome force. Which
he hit the perfect timing.
Yeah,
it's where you hit exactly that timing where your opponent is almost has that Immortal out, but that money is still inactive, which means that he's still not getting that extra 2 Stalkers, so you just destroy his Stalker Zealot force with a bunch of Marines and a single Marauder, and then suddenly that Immortal comes out. It's like, I will snipe your Marauder, but you still have like a billion Marines just to kill the Immortal.